Real estate drama on social media this week, proving you can never be too careful believing what you see on social media. That's what I'm talking about today.
I keep it real, I keep it real, I keep it real, just keep it real.
Hey, what's up, guys? Thanks for joining me today. As always, I'm here keeping it real estate in Fort Wayne, Indiana, bringing you the context, the clarity, and confidence you need to be real estate consumers in today's market. And recently, there was a huge backlash on social media about some real estate data going around and making the rounds on social media. And it proves that you can never be too careful who you listen to, or just taking things at first blush or first perception of something, because this is data. There's a whole lot more to just the picture of a graph. And you can really truly manipulate data to have it say what you want it to say. But this is just blatant disregard for data itself. This is just blatant misunderstanding. And here's where the drama started. So there's no secret that there's people online all across the country that are calling for housing recessions, calling for home prices to crash. They've been doing this ever since the great financial crisis of 2008, and every year they've continued to be wrong. And there's a lot of reasons for that, and I've done videos on that in the past. I won't rehash that today. But here is where the drama started, especially when this post and this data got picked up by a popular podcaster, a multi-millionaire, very well-respected guy, Mr. Patrick Bet-David, and shame on him. He should have known better than to share this way. He said 6.1 million Americans are behind on their mortgage, the highest rate in 20 years. Brace for impact. Now, a comment like that, how does that make you feel? It makes me feel like this guy, much richer and smarter than me, right? Knows something that I don't know. And clearly he posted a graph. That must mean that he knows something and has some data to prove it. Well, he makes it sound like American homeowners are behind on their mortgages at a rate that we haven't seen in 20 years. And it's just a blatant disregard for the facts and what the data says. The data he shares is actually showing data on multifamily homes in the United States. So these are investors. These are multifamily homes of 5 units or more. These are commercial type loans. So yes, some of this data has peaked and is at a 20-year high, although it is actually less than 1% of those loans that are at severe delinquency or at risk. And so is there going to be opportunity there? Maybe, but those commercial lending standards, those investor lending standards are much, much different than your typical American homeowner. So again, just misrepresentation of the information and data, but let's look at how the American homeowner actually is faring. And one of the key main reasons why we're not looking at prices crashing, we're not looking at another housing market crash, is due to the strength of the American homeowner. So let's look at this graph showing the total balance of delinquencies by their status. So the light blue bars are showing severe delinquencies, and you can see the total of anywhere from 30-day delinquencies to severe delinquencies, which are over 120 days. You can see that huge spike in the 2008 great financial crisis that we had. But let's look to today. Let's look where things stand now. And we are at very low levels. We're at lower than average levels for kind of the housing market in general. And this is the American homeowner. This is not commercial. This is not investor. These are moms and dads, brothers and sisters that own their properties in the United States. And here's the big thing that a lot of people don't know. After the great financial crisis of 2008, they put what's called qualified mortgage into place. And this put into place much more strict guidelines, borrowing standards for lenders and mortgage providers so that the strength of these homeowners, the strength of these buyers since 2008 is a stronger profile than ever. And that's why, even though we're in some unique inflationary and economically uncertain times, the American homeowner is still strong and not falling behind on their mortgage, not falling delinquent. And this graph shows that. But another telling sign, that graph was showing delinquencies on a mortgage, but another key indicator would be bankruptcies and foreclosures. So we have another graph here that is showing, again, that spike in bankruptcies and foreclosures during the Great Financial Crisis and the years following the Great Financial Crisis. And then we see during COVID, we see foreclosures totally fall off the map. There was almost none. That's because the government put into effect that moratorium period, that forbearance period. And a lot of people said, oh, that's a bad idea. As soon as that forbearance period comes undone, homeowners are going to lose their homes. They're going to be foreclosed on. They're not going to be able to catch up on their payments. Well, guess what? None of that has happened, and we've actually seen foreclosures drop over the last year as well. We are just at record lows. So even though we saw a little bit of a bounce back in foreclosure and bankruptcies after that forbearance period, it was so minor and minuscule. It was nothing that was going to affect home values, the inventory of homes on the market, or add any large amount of inventory that we weren't expecting or could have really swung demand supply balances in the market as well. So be careful who you listen to. Be careful what you see online. Don't just take things at face value. If something doesn't look right, if something doesn't feel right, then question it. And you know what? Sometimes if it looks right and feels right, it's because you're looking for something that just makes you feel better about the way you feel or makes you feel right about the way you feel. And guess what? You're not always going to be right. So second guess it. Have people that you trust. Follow people that you trust. And always be cautious about who you believe and what you believe online. I hope this puts this in some context and brings some clarity to a unique social media scenario that I wanted to make sure I talked about, because this was louder online than I really have seen other types of news stories hit. So if I'm seeing it and you're seeing it out there, I wanted to get you the clarity and context that you need so that you can be an informed and educated consumer. Keep it real out there, guys.
I keep it real, just keep it real.